What is up, everybody? You're tuning in to the Riddle Me That podcast with your host, Alex Riddle. Welcome back to RMT. Another great week brought to you by RMT and Jonas Productions here over at the crib. A lot of college football to get into today. College football bracket is now set. Bowl games are set. Kind of a wild last weekend of, championship games. Georgia taking down Texas in overtime to get the dub. This is the second time Georgia has beaten Texas this year. The way the bracket's set up, Texas could play against Georgia in the national championship game if they meet each other, if they both win their first couple of rounds. So there is a storyline there with those two teams. Oregon getting it done against Penn State. Penn State was in the game, though. Lost by 8 points, but had a chance on the final drive to, at least have a chance to go for two and even up the score against Oregon. Kind of a crazy game. Oregon going up early, Penn State coming back, then Oregon going away again, then Penn State not going down without a fight. So I thought that was a pretty good game. That was one of the night games. But ultimately, Oregon, quack, getting it done, winning the Big Ten, overall number one seed in the college football playoff. No surprise there. Unbelievable season with the Ducks. Only losing one game all season. Oregon's going to be a force to be reckoned with the college football playoff. But the cool news about this college football playoff is no one knows how it's going to go because there's never been a bracket like this one. It's the first of its kind. So it's going to be a pretty amazing weekend starting on Friday, December 20th. Rolling into the 21st as we'll have our first round matchups. Congrats to Arizona State getting a bye. That was one of the teams getting that 4 seed, winning the Big 12 earlier on in the day against Iowa State. Beat them down. Wasn't close. Blowout win, Arizona State. Getting that 4 seed like they deserve. Congrats to, even without a kicker, the Sun Devils getting it done this year. They do have a kicker, but their kicking game is horrid, and they literally halfway through the year were taking open tryouts. So it's pretty amazing that with all the kicking issues, it does not matter because your offense and defense are that good. And then the other one, Clemson getting it done against SMU. This was an interesting game here. Clemson inserting their dominance earlier in the game. But SMU coming all the way back to tie the game with 16 seconds left. Clemson gets a pretty good kick return, penalty, one pass, down the ball, 3 seconds left. 56-yard field goal for Clemson for the win last Saturday night against the Mustangs. But SMU getting to stay in the bracket. They were questioned if they lost that game, would they get bounced? Since I believe they did come, I think if they get blown out, they're out. But since they did come back and show the effort, they are still in. I like the SMU team. I think they're, quietly, even though they lost that championship game, they've had an amazing season. I love their quarterback. Watch out for SMU in the college football playoff to make a little noise. I think they could go on a little run. But a lot of college football playoff storylines. If you have not joined yet, the RMT bracket, so the Riddle Me That 2024 bracket is a go. We currently have 6 people. We got Yard Games and JLC, so he must have made 2 brackets there. I think they're letting you make 2, so go ahead and make 2 if you want. For Sherna's picks, that's John Sherna. That's my boy. That's myself. I got to change that name to RMT. Ike, Sentato, and K. Coughlin making a bracket. I love it. So we got 6 people. Let's get more. Let's get that up to 30 people by game time next weekend. So share it to anyone. It's open. Riddle Me That 2024. If you go to the ESPN Fantasy app, the College Football Bracket Challenge is available. You just click on it, join group, Riddle Me That 2024. It's open. Invite your friends. Share it to whoever. Join. It's fun. Like I said, if you want to do some cash prizes on the sides, hit me up. We can make a little pool happen. If you are the winner, you will get a opportunity to come on Riddle Me That. come on the podcast, or if you don't want that, get recognized, I'll throw you a little segment here for the winner. And if we, add a pool, winner will take all. So yeah, looking forward. I mean, this is pretty amazing. This almost feels like a March Madness feel. It's a smaller bracket, but we've been waiting for this for a long time for college football. Because there's always more than 4 teams that are deserving to make it, and it's almost like they're just, in years past, just creating a Final Four, when in reality there's 10 other teams that pretty much, besides 1 or 2 games, had just as good of a year as the top 4 teams. So, and no Alabama in the first year. So, believe it or not, the most historic franchise in college football did not get invited to play in the 12-team playoff. 3 losses just not going to cut it. I mean, I agree with the committee. I love that they put SMU in over the Crimson Tide. Crimson Tide, that bad loss at Oklahoma did it for me. I mean, Oklahoma, at the time, 1-5 in conference, not a good team this year. Played really good that game, but blowing out Bama. Bama also getting blown out against Vanderbilt. Now, I get Vanderbilt was a pretty solid team this year, but getting blown out at Vanderbilt, not a good look as well. Too many blowout losses. I'm happy that they rewarded SMU. Boise State winning their conference against UNLV. Steamrolled them Friday night. Happy that they got in. And then I guess Clemson, that was the one game. SMU versus Clemson, I was not sure. I went against Dabo and the boys. I was kind of mocking Dabo, and they came back and put a field goal through my gut last weekend. But congrats to Clemson as well. But now they got to play Texas, so that's going to be a tough game for them. Not the easiest first-round match, but they're in it. As the 12th seed, they made it. They were the last team, winning their conference in the ACC, getting that bid. So we'll see if Clemson can make some noise going into the playoffs here. But ultimately, yeah, I don't know how this bracket's going to go. I mean, it could go the way my bracket says, or it's going to go the exact opposite. I've kind of made a couple upset picks along the way. We'll see if I like my winner at the end. Before I get into my college football bracket, so I'm going to go into each matchup here, tell you who I like. I'm definitely making another big parlay this weekend. We went 12 of 17 on the Riddle Me That picks last weekend. I did make a humongous parlay, $1 to win 20 grand. It did not hit because a couple, I'd had Penn State spreads, lost to Oregon. I had SMU over Clemson, loss. I had Texas over Georgia, loss. So those are my 3 college football bets that lost. And then in the NFL, we went 8 for 10. Only ones that didn't hit were the Atlanta Falcons spreads, plus 5.5, who were winning in the third quarter, and then the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night, plus 5.5. I don't know if you guys watched that, the block punt by Dallas. They blocked the punt to pretty much seal the game, but the guy a Dallas defensive player touches the ball, he tries to pick it up, goes off his shoulder pad, Bengals recover it, so they just get a first down, ultimately scoring a touchdown to Jamar Chase. Blowing the 5.5. I mean, a horrible loss for the Cowboys. I mean, such a Cowboys way to lose. But bet of the week did hit, though. Panthers plus 13. If you watch the podcast, you cashed. We are now 2-1 on bet of the weeks for RMT. Pretty hyped right there. I did say I'd look like an idiot if the Panthers got blown out. They, in fact, had a chance to win the game, like I said on the pod. Xavier Legette needs to get off the team because he had a touchdown that he dropped. Someone, right? I told you had $3 million on the Eagles money line. They definitely were sweating. I was seeing stuff being posted on Instagram how, that's not the way that they thought the game was going to go. But in fact, it was the Panthers all along. Plus 13 was easy. As I said, we go to 2-1 on RMT Bet of the Weeks. Let's see if we can make it to 3-1 today. But before we get into the bet of the week, let's go into the college football playoff here. And we're going to start with the first game on the docket, which is Indiana Hoosiers taking on Notre Dame. So this is the 10-7 matchup here. So again, 4 teams have a bye. We got Oregon as the 1 seed, Georgia as the 2, and then we have Boise State as the 3 seed, and Arizona State as the 4 seed. So the top 4 teams get byes. Other teams got to sweat it out. So Indiana Hoosiers taking on Notre Dame at Notre Dame. So this is an Indiana classic here. Notre Dame minus 7.5. Okay, 11-1 on the year. 11-1 on the year for the Hoosiers as well. This is such an enticing game because Notre Dame has been so good this year. They've been blowing teams out. Hoosiers had that unbelievable run this year and then lost to Ohio State at Ohio State and then destroyed Purdue that last game. So this game's going to go one or two ways. Notre Dame is going to boat race the Hoosiers, or Coach Cignetti brings the Hoosiers into a classic into Notre Dame and get the W in dramatic fashion. And we are rolling with the Indiana Hoosiers plus 7.5. So that's going to be my bet. Indiana Hoosiers plus 7.5. And we're taking them to advance in the bracket on Friday. Too much Hoosiers love to go around, a.k.a. Ethan Holman. Can't go against the boys. In a perfect world on paper, I take Notre Dame here. But again, that's why we love it. When everybody zigs, we zag. Go Zags. Notre Dame ultimately is the better team here. But I think Indiana, man, they just kind of have this magic this year. And I'm going to ride with the magic. And to start off the college football playoff, I want to ride with that upset team. We ride with the Hoosiers. It could be kind of a biased pick, but that's okay. Sometimes you got to ride with your boys and, roll with the punches. That's what my dad says. Roll with the punches. We are taking the Hoosiers, pinstripes. Let's go to ND, South Bend. Let's get it done. Hoosiers, plus 7.5. Take them to advance the bracket. I do have a feeling that people are going to watch this and then fade on my picks, which could be smart. Could be smart. If you're that guy, go for it. But we're just rolling through here. We don't care if you fade us, right? People have been fading us. People have been riding us for a long time. Whatever you want to do, you do. I'd advise just to make your own bracket, though. This is fun. I'm on my own pod, making picks for the people, for myself. First time ever going through a bracket here. This is kind of crazy. We're just going with first instincts here. Next game here. There's only one game Friday night. We're going into Saturday here. We have SMU, 11-seeded SMU, taking on 6-seed Penn State. Penn State minus 8.5 here. It's a tough game because, again, on paper, this screams Notre Dame money line, Penn State money line. Put them in a parlay, have yourself a day. But I just don't think it's going to be that easy. SMU coming off a heartbreaking loss in their conference championship to Clemson. But the good news is they're still in, right? And they came all the way back. They're still riding that momentum of we came back from 24-7. We battled. Here we are. Give me SMU plus 8.5, taking them to advance in the bracket. So I'm not going to be betting SMU and Indiana money lines. I'm going to be taking their spreads for betting purposes. But for the bracket, we are also taking SMU. I think Penn State, I gave them a chance against Oregon. Yeah, they competed, but they can't win that big game. Again, on paper, it favors Penn State, but give me SMU Mustangs. Let's be different. Hoosiers Mustangs so far. This is already gross, but I love it so much. We're taking the 10 and 11 seeds to advance first two games. Pray for me here. But SMU, I think they go into Penn State. I think that they battle, and they got nothing to lose, right? They lost and still got in. No one's going to take them to win. Everyone's taking Penn State. We ride SMU. Clemson going into Texas here. Okay, Texas minus 11. Okay, 5 versus 12. This is where we change directions here and we go to the favorite. Give me Texas. Horns up, baby. We went horns up last weekend and they gave us a horns down. We're going horns up this weekend against Dabo and Clemson. Clemson coming in hot off that ACC championship win. Texas coming in off a heartbreaker to Georgia. Again, we're taking the team that got heartbroken on the rebound here. We just think Texas too much on the line to have their season end against Clemson here. If there's a year for the Longhorns, it has to be right now. McConaughey and the boys got to figure it out. And I think that versus a team like Clemson, yes, Clemson defense is solid, but they're not in the same ballpark. Hence the minus 11 spread. I feel like if Texas was only a -5 or -6, I'd be really nervous, right? But they're minus 11. Texas fucking Longhorns are going to win this game against Clemson. No doubt in my mind. Horns up. Give me Texas. And again, I think people are like, oh, like Clemson, coming in, Dabo town. It's like, okay, ride the Dabo train. Let's see how that goes for you. Tennessee, Ohio State. Last matchup here. Tennessee, Ohio State. Another super intriguing matchup here. Number 9, Tennessee, taking on number 8, Ohio State. At Ohio State. -7, Buckeyes. Everybody says, oh, coming off a loss against Michigan, I love them. You know, they're destined to win the big dance now. I don't think so. I think playing Tennessee might have been the hardest matchup they could have gotten that first round, and they got it. The Volunteers coming in to Columbus, and again, nothing to lose out in Knoxville. They have a new quarterback. He's a freshman. He's proved himself this year. Yeah, they have a couple losses, but 10-2. I've seen these orange and white pinstripes go, and these boys can ball out in Tennessee. Ohio State, I'm telling you, after that Michigan game, I mean, prove me wrong, Buckeyes, but I am not riding with that team. I mean, that team could not do anything. And if they can't do anything against Michigan, they ain't doing shit in this college football playoff. They have no mojo, no momentum. Yes, they're in Columbus, which might be the only thing that saves them. I mean, God forbid they're in Tennessee. They'd have no chance in this game. Give me Tennessee +7 here. Maybe buy the half point to +7.5. And give me Tennessee to advance in the bracket. Okay, give me the Volunteers. So that's 1, 2, 3. 3 out of the 4 upsets I chose this week in the first round of college football playoff. We love it. We could be crazy. We could be out of their mind, but we like to be different, right? I'm not trying to roll with the chalk here, even though sometimes that's what you got to do. Not today. We ride with the upsets / Longhorns in my first round games. Okay. Now, for the sake of the show here, I want to go through my next 2 rounds here. So the games I just gave are actually going on. Those are the matchups that you will see next weekend. Hence why I made bets and also told you who I took in my bracket, because the next part of this bracket here could be hypothetical, could be real. We're going to assume they're all real, though. We're going to assume that we clean swept the first round of the college football playoff. And we're going into the first matchup here with Texas and Arizona State. Longhorns getting that first win over Clemson, now playing Arizona State. Hey, Arizona State got that bye. Congratulations, you won the Big 12. But you're playing a former Big 12 team who's now in the SEC, who has something to prove. Give me the Longhorns over Arizona State, coming in hot after that Clemson beatdown. They're going to go into the Chick-fil-A Bowl, get it done against Arizona State. Too much firepower on Texas. Give me Longhorns to advance to the Cotton Bowl. Okay? Tennessee taking on Oregon here in the Rose Bowl. Ooh, I like this. Tennessee, Oregon. Okay, Tennessee coming off their big win against Ohio State. They're proving that the Big Ten are frauds, and they're going to prove it again. Tennessee beating Oregon. Okay, call me crazy, but Tennessee doesn't stop after beating Ohio State. They're going to beat the best 2 teams in the Big Ten. Okay, and they're going to show why the SEC, you know, is the real thing here. Actually, I think Tennessee, are they in the Big 12 now? No, I think they're still with. Here, I'm going to look this up real quick so I'm not crazy here. Every team has been switching the last couple years, so before I get into some rant here about what Tennessee conference football. Okay. I don't see SEC. Okay, they are in the SEC. Tennessee, I'm not crazy. They're still in the SEC. As I say, they're not in the Big 12. That was Arizona State. My bad. But they're going to show, yes, that why the SEC, you know, this should be, you know, I think the SEC, honestly, with this new college football playoff has something to prove because, right, they're making this playoff because the SEC always dominates the Final Four for college football. So now have the SEC be like, hey, we're going to beat all the other bums out, and this is why we own this league. And I'm telling you right now, Big Ten never afraid to fail at the end. So give me Tennessee over Oregon. I love it. I love this pick. I'm gonna be alone for these 2 picks, but that's okay with me. Give me the Volunteers. Everyone's gonna be like, oh, Ohio State, Oregon rematch. Nope, actually Tennessee's gonna beat both of them. So that's going to be a Texas-Tennessee Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic match. I mean, that's unreal. I love that. So that's the top part of the bracket. It gets even messier on my bottom half. So after SMU goes into Penn State and takes out another Big Ten team, right? So my only Big Ten team I have winning are the Hoosiers, which is okay. We ride with the Hoosiers. They're going to be the one team that gets out of the Big Ten and shows why they're, the real deal. But SMU taking on Boise State. So they get through Penn State. You think going to Boise State is going to be tough after already going to Penn State and getting a win? No. SMU over Boise State and Ashton Jeffrey, 11 seed SMU to get to the Orange Bowl. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to go to Penn State and win. They're going to take Boise State out and win, and they're going to make it to the Orange Bowl. That's my prediction for the Mustangs. They're coming off that. We're riding with the teams that lost in the championship weekends. They always seem to have an edge on them. I don't know what it is, but we're riding with that. Okay. Indiana against Georgia. Okay. And this is where my upset bids die here. We're taking Georgia over the Hoosiers. If Hoosiers can survive Notre Dame, I don't know if they'll have enough left in the tank to take on probably the most experienced team in the field in the Georgia Bulldogs, who have the championship. I mean, Hoosiers are just happy to be here. Georgia, it's win or die. Give me the Bulldogs to make it to the Orange Bowl with a little matchup against SMU. Texas, Tennessee, and SMU, Georgia, the Final Four here. I mean, I did not predict this, but we did predict this right here. Okay. Texas taking on Tennessee in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl. Give me the Longhorns here to keep it going here. I don't know if Arch Manning's going to be in by now because Ewers gets hurt or they bring Manning in, but I don't know. I think Arch Manning's going to have something to do with this playoff run. Give me Texas in a Big 12 matchup over Tennessee to make the championship. So hence my methods here of three Big 12 teams, three SEC teams making it to the Final Four with Texas, Tennessee, and Georgia. The reason I keep saying Big 12 is Texas is consistently a Big 12 team for their whole existence, but not anymore. They are the ones that went to the SEC, which is why I got confused with the Volunteers earlier. But give me Texas. I mean, Tennessee beating Ohio State, beating Oregon, but then Texas showing why they're, an SEC championship caliber team. Give me Texas. And then SMU against Georgia. It's been a great run for SMU. They upset Penn State. They upset Boise State. But ultimately, it's Georgia getting an easy path to the championship game, beating the Hoosiers and then beating SMU, which takes me to my fairy tale ending here of a Texas-Georgia SEC championship rematch in the national championship. I mean, could you imagine this, right? Texas has lost to Georgia twice, and they get a third chance at them in the championship game. I mean, that'd be nuts. That'd be nuts. And that's what I'm predicting. And I'm predicting that Texas is going to beat Georgia and get that national championship. They've lost to them twice this year. They get a third chance at them, and they're not going to let that go. Texas, horns up, Matthew McConaughey, and the boys are going to get it done. And that is my college football bracket. I mean, that was the coolest thing. I mean, I've only done March Madness brackets. That right there was cool to do. Like the first ever college football play. You heard it here first. The perfect bracket here on RMT. Let's go Longhorns. We're riding with Longhorns. We don't know how we got here, but horns up, baby. Let's go. Welcome back to RMT here. Again, riddle me that 2024 is the group to get into the college football playoff madness here. We already got 6 people signed up. Riddle me that 2024. Just type that in on the app, on the ESPN Fantasy app, College Football Bracket Challenge, and you will find the group, and you can join up. It's going to be fun. Let's see if we can get 30 people or so. Let's get it going. Just went through my picks for college football, but we're transitioning now into college basketball here a little bit. Got to give you a Northwestern update. Got to give you a Zags update going into this weekend. I said last weekend, Cats were taking on U of I at home, must-win game, and the Cats got it done. A 70-66 win in Evanston in overtime over the 19th-ranked Illini. Huge win after that devastating loss to Iowa. They needed a bounce-back win to go 1-1 in the Big Ten. Resume-boosting win, quad 1 win. I believe Illinois' net ranking was 9. So huge win for the Cats, going to 7-3. We have Georgia Tech coming up on Sunday. So 4-5 Georgia Tech, neutral site. Got to get a win against Georgia Tech on Sunday. Followed up by DePaul next Saturday. That's a must win. And Northeastern to finish out the 2024 season going into 2025 before we only get into Big Ten play. So the next 3 games on the Northwestern schedule, must win games. We got to be 10-3 going into conference play. It's just a must at this point. You cannot beat U of I with big rids in attendance with the fam and then let us down against Georgia Tech. It cannot happen. I believe in this team. That game showed me, being down 10 with 4 minutes left, 5 minutes left, season on the line, it felt like Cats found a way to get that net ranking up to 62. I mean, they were 72 net ranking. Now they're 62 net ranking. Cats are back. Needed that win. Needed it like air. I'm happy I was there. Really fun game. Shout out Julia Riddle, younger sister. First Cats game with the squad. X Factor. Welcome back to any Cats game she wants. She was a huge reason why the Cats pulled it out. I mean, everyone was quiet. She was the only one cheering at some point. Got the crowd back into it. And that's how we do it in Wildcat Nation. Huge win for Northwestern. I'm happy we talked about it on the pod last weekend. I'm happy they pulled it out. But it's game time now. 3 next games. It's a business trip. Let's get it done. Gonzaga Bulldogs. Okay, losing to Jonas's Kentucky Blue last Saturday night. 9 o'clock game in Seattle. Zags up by as many as 17 in the first half. Kentucky showing their willpower second half, getting it done. Really close game down the stretch. Winning by 1 point. It was an Elite Eight matchup. The Zags have nothing to hang their heads about. They couldn't close it out. They beat most teams that night, but Kentucky finding a way to make shots at the end of the game, getting every offensive board, really imposing their dominance, on the glass down the stretch of that game. Gonzaga missing some of their free throws, just kind of played not to lose the second half. They weren't expecting such a firepower out of Kentucky. Like I said last week, Kentucky coming off a really tough loss at Clemson. They were battle tested. They were in must-win mode as well. But hey, Gonzaga is still ranked 8th in the country. I still like where they're at. They've had a great non-conference. They play UConn coming up, which is going to be a huge game. I'd love to get a UConn win going into, WCC play. If they can beat UConn, a great resume builder to end their non-conference season. They might even have another couple non-conference games, but UConn is the most notable one they have left. Again, say what you want about the Zags schedule. They schedule an unreal non-conference. They play, 5 or 6 top 12 teams in a span of 2 or 3 weeks, and they usually come out with like a 4-2, 5-1 record against them. So I love what the Zags are doing. They have a good team. It's just a matter of, can they make shots down the stretch? Will you turn the ball? I mean, beating themselves. I mean, they're like a Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens will never lose. They will just beat themselves. It's a story of why they haven't won every single game. Because in my mind, the Ravens should win most of their games, and they lose some games at the end of the game when usually, they should pull it out. Which, hey, at the end of the day, you're in that position a lot to win the game. You're going to have a lot of success. So I like, again, that Zags Baltimore Ravens, connection. I kind of love it there. That's the team I'm comparing them to. Don't beat yourselves, Zags. Don't beat yourselves, and you'll be just fine come March. Going into the NFL here. So NFL week 15. I can't believe it's already back. Or already at the end, I should say. I should say that the fantasy playoffs are back for fantasy football. So I can't believe how fast the season has gone for fantasy football. But here we are. Week 15. We're going to do a bet of the week here. And we are taking it to the NFL here. And we are going to ride into Denver here. Okay, where a Denver Broncos team, 4-point favorites at home against Indianapolis Colts, a 6-7 Indianapolis Colts. The Broncos coming off a big win on Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last weekend. And it hurts my heart to do this, but we are riding with the Indianapolis Colts +4 in the Mile High. Okay, they're riding in the Mile High. The Colts 6-7. Okay, desperately need a win here. And this is a Colts team that, you know, they are what their record shows, right? They win, lose, lose, win, lose, win. The Broncos right here at 8-5. Okay. 4-2 at home. On paper, the Broncos look like to play here. But I think if the Broncos were truly the favorite here, right, they'd be at least -7, -8. So the book knows that this game, right, has a little bit of fraudness pulled into it. And I just think it's easy to be, oh, Broncos at home. But I think the Broncos are a little overvalued here. Give me a team like the Colts who just seem to grind away at games. It's never pretty. But when you have about 4 points given to the Colts, I like that. I think Anthony Richardson has been playing better. And I think the Colts are going to go into Denver, and it's going to be close. It's going to be like a field goal game, I think. So I can't guarantee the Colts are going to win, but I think they're going to be in position to. Give me the Indianapolis Colts +4 for the RMT bet of the week. Let's make it 3-1 here. Let's go 2 in a row on the NFL Diamond here. Yeah, we're going to call it the NFL Diamond. I don't know what else to say. I'd say the pitch, but that's soccer. But let's go back to back. Let's go 3-1. Let's be NFL sharp. So let's go into the NFL Week 15 slate here. I already gave you the bet of the week. It's the Indianapolis Colts +4 on the road at Denver. Let's go into each game. So we already had a game last night. The LA Rams going into San Francisco, getting a 12-6 win. You heard that, 12-6 win. 0 touchdowns scored in last night's game. 0. First game all season. And it was the Rams, 7-6 team, desperately needing a win against the 6-7 Rams. It felt like first round playing game for some sort of playoffs. And it was the LA Rams getting it done, moving to 8-6, moving to 4-3 on the road. I mean, a huge win. No touchdowns scored. If you're the team that comes out of that with the win, you got to feel pretty good about that. So the LA Rams moving to 8-6, Niners moving to 6-8. Kind of feels like a really bad loss to the Niners there. They really needed it. They did not look good. Their offense, I mean, their defense showed up, but their offense did not. And even the defense got worn down, and the Rams were kind of doing what they wanted towards the end of the game. They were controlling the ball. So the Rams, with Kyron Williams and the boys, Cooper Kupp got 0 fantasy points last night. 0. So if you're in the playoffs and you have Cooper Kupp, I'm sorry. That is a brutal way to start. But Cooper Kupp with 0 fantasy points. First time that's happened since 2019. So really tough game for him. But hey, Cooper Kupp, if you're to tell me Cooper Kupp would have 0 catches and they'd win the game, you'd have to kill me. So Rams with a huge win, keeping their playoff chances alive and the division. Chiefs against the Browns. So we're going into Sunday here. Chiefs-Browns. Chiefs -4 on the road in Cleveland. On the road in Cleveland, you're only -4. You're 12-1. Okay, coming off another insane ending to a Sunday night win last week against the Chargers, doinking in a game-winning field goal. Give me the Browns +4 here. Nothing to play for. They can't win a game, but you're telling me the Browns are only 4-point underdogs at home against Kansas City? Right? Again, the Chiefs should be -20 here, and they're not. So something seems fishy. I just feel like the Chiefs are so due for just like, I mean, they've already won their division. It does not true. I mean, I guess overall seeding, but they're going to be the number 1 seed. I think the Browns and Jameis are somehow, I mean, they already beat the Ravens this year somehow at the end of the game. Give me the Cleveland Browns +4. I mean, this is illegal, but that's why we go with it. When they zig, we zag. Cincinnati Bengals at Tennessee Titans. Okay, the 5-8 Bengals taking on the 3-10 Titans. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals -5 here. For the sake of the pod, I'll do the spread, but give me the Bengals money line in general here. I think they keep their momentum up from an amazing win at Dallas. Again, the Titans have nothing to play for, but the Bengals, who are 5-8, it's not like they're, they're still on the outside looking in, so they got nothing to lose either. And the Bengals are the better team. The Titans are so bad. Just lost to the Jaguars last week. I will not bet on the Titans. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals money line. It might be gross, but I'm riding with Jamar Chase and the boys Give me the Bengals money line. Washington Commanders at the New Orleans Saints. Saints starting some quarterback I've never even heard of, right? They have that problem this year because Derek Carr keeps getting hurt. Give me the Washington Commanders on the money line. For the sake of the show, I'll give you the -7.5. I don't love that spread, so I will take the Commanders in the money line, especially since it's at New Orleans. But give me the Commanders here, who 8-5 need a win here. When you're 8-5, you're right in the hunt, so you need to win every game as possible. New Orleans is not good. Kamara has been, absent from practice with being, some sort of sickness. So I don't know what his status is. The Saints could be a dumpster fire. Give me the Commanders on the road in New Orleans. -7.5 money line in the parlay. Baltimore Ravens at the New York Giants. -16. Baltimore Ravens at the Giants. Okay, -16. This is a game where I will not be putting this game in my parlay because, again, I don't take -16s. I only take plus. But I will take, for the sake of my boy Jonas here, the Ravens -16. I will be leaving them out of the parlay. I don't advise betting on this because I just think, the G-Men are 0-7 at home. We did take the G-Men last week, +5.5, and they covered. But again, missing a 35, they're toast. Give me the Ravens by 50 here. I take back what I said earlier, where a team, I don't take teams, 12 to 14 points, but it's the G-Men. They are horrible. The Ravens are going to win this game by 100. Dallas Cowboys at Carolina Panthers. Panthers -3 here against the Dallas Cowboys. Give me the Panthers -3. The Cowboys are done. 5-8 Cowboys had their chance for another win last week to keep themselves relevant at 6-7. Couldn't get it done off the block punt. The Panthers are a team we ride and die with the 3-10 Panthers. They're favorites in this game. The Carolina Panthers -3 over the Cowboys. Give me that. Give me the money line in a parlay. Panthers getting a win this week, especially after covering for us last week. Oh, we ride with the Panthers again, baby. Give us the Panthers. New York Jets at the Jacksonville Jaguars here. This might be the worst game I've ever seen assembled. The 3-10 Jets taking on the 3-10 Jaguars. Jets -3.5 in this game. I feel like I don't even know where to start with this game. I want to, the over-under is 40.5, but I'm terrible with totals. Give me the New York Jets. It's disgusting. -3.5, money line. Jacksonville getting a win last week at Tennessee. Jets blowing another game. The Jets are the better team here, but not by much. But I think the Jets, slime together a win. Slime together. I like that. Slime together a win out in Jacksonville. Give me Aaron Rodgers and the Jets this is literally the poop ball right here. Miami Dolphins taking on the Houston Texans. -3 Houston in Houston against Miami. Give me the Dolphins +3.5 here. We're going to buy a half point. Huge game here. Dolphins are playing way better ball as of late. I don't love them on the road. They usually falter, but give me the 3 points in Houston. I think the game's going to be close. They usually are with, Miami usually battles. And I like getting the extra points here. Give me Miami +3.5 on the road. I think it's going to be a barn burner. Houston seems to play to every team's levels, and I just think this is a pretty close matchup on paper here. So give me the Dolphins +3.5, fin up. Colts Broncos, you already know, +4 Colts. Riddle me that bet of the week. In Denver, riding into the mile high. It's ballsy pick, but I think Colts get it done. Again, in a gross fashion. We love gross on the show. Buffalo Bills taking on the Detroit Lions here. The 10-3 Bills and the 12-1 Lions. This is definitely the game of the day here. The Lions -2.5 at home here. Give me the Buffalo Bills +3. So buying, +3.5. Buying a full point here. Buffalo coming off a really tough loss against the Rams. Lions coming off another close win against Green Bay. 12-1 Lions. They're due for a loss. They're due for a loss. That's my theory. Bills are the team. They can do it. On paper, again, the Lions are slightly better, but I don't care. The Bills have enough offense firepower to win this game. I think the Bills get it done. Josh Allen, MVP contender. I think the Bills go into Detroit and at worst lose by a field goal. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. This might be another game of the week. Wow, back-to-back games right here. We got some bangers. Pittsburgh Steelers at Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia minus 5.5 against Pittsburgh. Give me the Eagles here, minus 5.5, and the money line. Steelers have been playing out of their mind. They've been playing great on the road, 5-2 on the road. But the Eagles at home here, I like it. I think they're a solid bet at home. We bet against them last week. They got away with a win against the Panthers. I think they come ready to play here. Eagles usually come ready to play against the big boys, especially at home. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles, minus 5.5 and the money line. New England Patriots taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Another kind of a poopy game here. Arizona minus 6 at home against the Patriots. Give me Arizona minus 6 and the money line in a parlay. Again, I'm saying minus 6 for sake of the show. I will be putting them in a money line. They're on a slide. They need to win bad. The Patriots 3-10. Drake May is good. The rest of the team is not. Give me the Arizona Cardinals at home here against the New England Patriots. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the LA Chargers here. Minus 3 Chargers against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, we're taking the road team here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 3.5 on the road at the Chargers. I think Baker and the boys. This is a must. This feels like a playoff game right here, right? Both teams need to win 8-5, 7-6. But the Bucs, man, they keep putting these games together, and it's every time I seem to go against Baker in a big game, he seems to screw me over here. So we're gonna ride with Baker. We don't love him on the road, but we're taking the Bucs here. I think everyone's gonna be on Chargers. Give me the Buccaneers plus 3.5. A little sprinkle on the money line. Sunday night game here. Green Bay Packers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, another great game. Okay, this is an amazing slate this week. Way better than last week. Give me the Seattle Seahawks plus 3.5 on the road here at Seahawks are home. So give me the Seahawks plus 3.5 at home. Okay, with the 12th man against Green Bay. Plus 3.5. We're buying a full point. We don't take plus 2.5. Those don't do anything for us. Plus 3.5. Sprinkle the money line. Green Bay, coming off a tough loss last week. They're gonna come off another tough loss this week in Seattle. Seattle playing great ball here. This could be, a game where Seattle flubs it, but honestly, they should. I love that they're underdogs here. I think that's great value for the Seahawks here. The Packers are great, but the Seahawks 3-4 at home. That's not like them. They're gonna get it done at home against the Pack here. Moving both teams to 9-5. Last 2 games here, 2 Monday night games. So we're finishing out this amazing slate with 2 Monday night games. Fantasy implications up the ass this week. Bears at Vikings. Chicago Bears at Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are minus 7 in this game. Okay? We are going to ride the Chicago Bears plus 7.5 versus Minnesota Vikings. I don't know where my head's at. We've lost 7 in a row. I think we're due to keep it close and maybe pull out a win against a divisional opponent. It just seems like a game that we should have no business being in. This could be the game where somehow we put something together. We somehow have great success against the Vikings on Monday night. Give me the Bears plus 7.5 on the road in Minnesota. Sue me. Atlanta Falcons, last game here. Atlanta Falcons at LA Raiders. Falcons minus 4 at LA Raiders. Only minus 4. Both teams are trash. Give me the LA Raiders plus 4 at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, give me the Raiders plus 4. I think the Falcons might eke out a win here, but their defense has not been trustworthy for me to back them. Kirk Cousins has been ass. Give me the Raiders plus 4 in this Monday night shootout. Last segment here on the RMT podcast. Again, thank you for tuning in. Our 4th official podcast here, live podcast in RMT apartment here. Love the setup in here. I can't lie. The feedback has been good. I feel like every podcast nowadays is in a remote setting like this. Studios still exist, but with the technology we have these days, you're kind of able to go where you like, which, podcasts should be in the comfort of your own home. It's what you're doing. I can't wait till we get a guest on here. That's the next step in this field, is to get a guest on here. I don't care who the guest is. We'll start with anybody. Getting that ball rolling. I think that would just take this to the next level. Get those views up. right? I'd love, my goal is to get up to maybe 100 views on a pop, right? And that's, setting the bar low in my opinion, but that is where we want to go, get out of 20s and 30s land, get up to the next level. I don't know how we do it, but we're going to keep grinding here. And we're going to go into our Fichtner Cup fantasy football playoff segment here. First week of playoffs. Congrats to all the boys that made it to the 6 teams. And not so much a congrats to the bottom 4 teams. They're going to have to battle it out for a potential Ficht punishment. You know who you are. It is nice, coming in here, getting that win versus Boyd last week. 6-7 team, just needed to outscore Nassar. We not only outscored Nassar, but we get that win. We get that 5 seed. We avoid Holman in the first round, the Holman-Koff side of the bracket. We get away from that, and we go into the top half, where I feel, as Lebo said in the group chat, he is correct. Any 6 of these teams could win this year's cup. I believe it was Nato that said it's this league's down year. Well, it's only the down year because, yourself is not included in this year's bracket. Easy to say that. As Lebo would say, I have to agree with him. It's actually an amazing bracket because anybody can win, right? So again, yeah, I get there's no, I'd argue there is. Lebo and Coughlin have been dominant this year for the most part, and I think they're a force to be reckoned with in this year's playoffs. But again, top to bottom, it's a pretty competitive playoff, picture here, and I like every team's chances. And again, when you're not in it, yeah, of course it's the down year, but for the boys that are in it, we don't think that way. We keep moving on. So we're going to go into the first matchup here. Okay, so let me give you a quick rundown of the teams here. So coming in at the 1 seed this year, getting that first round bye at 11-3, we got the 2x4s, Luke Liebert, hell of a season. Coming into this year with a lot of expectation, upholding those expectations, trying to get that first official cup. He's been close. He's been to a championship. He's been, to the playoffs multiple years. Lebo coming in this year with high hopes to get it done, and he's well on his way to competing for that cup. Luke Liebert, the 2x4s, the number 1 seed. At the 2 seed here, we have Team Cough Daddy finishing the year 10-4, securing that second bye. It came down to the last week. It came down to the last week. So Cough Daddy needed a win, and he was in for that second bye. But Holman, who's leading the league in points for, was right behind him. So if Coughlin would have gotten the loss last week, it would have been Holman getting that 2 seed. Tried to fuck him by picking up Allen, the backup for the Jets, because Breece Hall was out. He got that. He tried to get into his head, but Coughlin ultimately prevailing, blocking out the haters, getting that 2nd seed bye, which is just so critical. You will always take a bye, especially in Fickland, where the playoffs are always just so hard. So congrats to the 2x4s and Team Cough Daddy to getting those 1 and 2 seeds, securing those 2 byes. Seed number 3 here, we got Commission's down year, Ethan Holman. And he lived up to his expectations as well. Going 9-5, maybe not as, maybe wanted a couple more wins to get that bye, but ultimately, he started off hot, then got a little cold, and then finished the season hot again. So he'll take the 3 seed. He's ready for whatever's getting thrown his way. Commission's down year, 9-5, getting that 3 seed. 4 seed here, we got Peggy Boyd, Take Your Kisses, Klein Hands, who finished the year 7-7, who was near the top, kind of going in a weird spot here because you're kind of on a slide, but I like your team, and you're also just finished the hot dog challenge, right? Klein Hands eating 63 hot dogs last week to fulfill his Fichtner Cup punishment from last year. Impressive work by the guy down in Florida, huffing down those dogs, videotaping each dog. Props to Klein Hands, and I'm a little scared to be playing him this week, right? Because coming in at the 5 seed, we have Bill's South Beach Bitches, right? Bill getting a win last week, getting up to that 5 seed, will be playing the 4 seed in Peggy Boyd. So I don't know what the omens are saying, right? Europe earlier in the year, hot dogs now. I don't know what's going on, but ultimately we are here. We're tied 1-1 overall. It's going to be a hell of a matchup. So coming in at 5 is Bill's South Beach, coming in after Peggy Boyd at the 4 seed. At the 6 seed, we have Big Sam securing that last playoff spot with a win last week against Nato, also going to 7-7. So Bill South Beach, Peggy Boyd, and Big Sam all 7-7, finishing out those 4, 5, and 6 seeds. Big Sam will be playing Commission's down year in the first round on the other side of the bracket for this year's Cup. So the bottom 4 teams here, this is almost my favorite part here. The bottom 4 teams here, we have the Biederman Fundamentals and Mike Nasser finishing the year 5-9 on a 6-game losing streak, right? He was 5-3, right? And finishing the year 5-9, lost that locker room presence, ultimately is playing for a Fichtner Cup punishment this year. Sad to see the Fundamentals collapse at the end of the year. Hopefully they can find a way to survive the punishment. At the 8th seed here, we have the Commissioner, who once again is blaming Commission's down year for the curse. So you know it's bad when you're blaming someone for putting a curse on you and asking him to take away the curse. Boyd trying to get in my head last week with the Puka Nacua touchdown taunt. I had to unload I haven't taunted one player in all 9 leagues I'm in this year until I taunted Boyd. It felt good to unleash a couple Josh Allen taunts on him. Don't pull the, don't play with the horns here, Boyd. You find yourself another way to be competing for a shit bowl. Here you are at the 8th seed, preparing for a freak bowl. Minneapolis Mike Caputo is coming in at 9 here. Trying to finish the season on a high note, but ultimately 5-9, not going to be able to get it done. As he said, a down year for the league, more like a down year for MMC. Still 3 championships. He can hold that over his head, but ultimately not making the playoffs is not where you want to be. Coming in at 9. Anaheim Angelos finishing the year at 4-10 here. Finishing the year, winning their last 3 out of 4 matchups here. But ultimately, a decade is gone. A decade without taking the playoffs. That trend continues this year with the ticket yet again missing the playoffs. Coming in at 4-10, coming in last for this year's Fichtner Cup playoffs. So those 4 will be competing for a Freak Bowl, I believe. I'm not sure who the matchups are here. Let's see if I can go to the playoff schedule here. They should just have playoffs right next to it. Let's see here. Scoreboard. Let's see who they have. Okay, yeah, they got... So it's Boyd taking on Nasser and Ticket taking on the Caputo. So the losers of those 2 matchups will be playing each other. Winners are done and survive. Losers will be playing each other for the Freak. So I don't know what's going to happen there. It could be anyone's ball game there. Going to the bracket here. So only 2 matchups this week for the Fichtner Cup. And we'll start with Big Sam and Holman's matchup here. Big Sam taking on Kamish's down year in the 3-6 matchup here. Kamish heavy 124 to 112 projections here. So favorites, but still both projected over 110. I mean, that's what happens when you come to the playoffs. It's going to be tight. But give me Kamish's down year in this matchup here. I feel like Kamish, he has the firepower. I mean, Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs at running back are really, really the workhorses here that get it done. And they just continue to do it. I mean, Josh Jacobs and Saquon, both top 5 backs in the league. They're the workhorses that, get the engine moving. Joe Burrow comes in, little CeeDee Lamb. Chuba Hubbard in the flex is nice. And then ultimately it's defending against Jamar Chase on Big Sam. I mean, Jamar Chase is going to be the X factor in this game here. Will he carry his team to victory? Because the rest of his Big Sam's team, you got Caleb Williams, Achane, Pollard, Metcalf, Darnell Mooney. I mean, it's Jamar Chase. He needs 50 out of Jamar. And if he can get that, he'll have a chance. But ultimately, I think that's why Kamish gets it done. Give me Kamish's down year to advance against a matchup with Koff Daddy, which would be the matchup of the year. The 2-3 against Holman and Koff. A bid gets into the Fichtner Cup. You can't make that up. Happy to be on the opposite side here. Peggy Boyd, Take Your Kisses, Matthew Kleinhands taking on Bill's South Beach Bitches, RMT. The 4-5 matchup here. Splitting the regular season matchups 1-1. This is the rubber match here. It's Europe/hot dogs against Big Rids here to get into a 1-seed matchup with About That Action, 2x4 Luke Lebo. Or do they reseed? So if Big Sam wins, he might play. I forget how they do it in the fantasy playoffs. I could be wrong. Big Sam, if he beats Holman and I win, I guess then I would play Coughlin instead of Holman. So, but if Holman wins and I win, it's Holman versus Koff, me versus Lebo. So we're gonna stick with that matchup here. And if Kleinhans wins and Holman wins, it's still Kleinhans against Lebo and Holman against Coughlin. They might do it that way because that's what the NFL playoffs actually work, is they reseed the bracket based on who wins. But we're gonna take myself here, the defending champ. We're gonna take the dub against Kleinhans here. We're gonna predict a win. We're underdogs here, 118 to 110 projection. We've had, a lot of questionables this week. Njoku, who's my boy, is probably going to be out. And then I put Kincaid in, and he's questionable now, so we'll see what's going on with my tight ends here. Looks like Tyreek Hill is off the questionable list. Ladd McConkey is questionable, but he is practicing limited basis. Kenneth Walker is going to be the real question mark here, even though I do have Charbonnet on the bench to plug him in for Walker if he's not a go. But yeah, Walker hasn't been practicing this week. So a lot of injuries, which I'm not sure if that's going to be a factor, but we don't care. Next man up here in RMT, though. We're taking the 5 seed over the 4 seed to have a matchup with the 2x4s in the second round. So those are your matchups here. Holman beating Big Sam. RMT, Bill South Beach beating Peggy Boyd. Take your kisses to create a Lebo, Big Rids, Coughlin, Holman Final Four matchup, which would just be an unbelievable Final Four here. Exactly the 4 boys who I'd want to make it. If that all happens, I mean, it is not the league's down year. It's just the league new era, right? The Holman, Coughlin, Riddle bias, right, is coming to full force if we can get it done this week. So it's going to take a full team effort. Let's get it done. RMT playoffs, Fichtner land, first week. It's upon us. It's scary, but we love it. I love you. I love doing this pod. Fantasy football. It's a full go. We got a big playoff weekend for all my leagues, but the only league that truly matters is the Fichtner Cup League of Champions. And that is all the time we have today on the RMT pod. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Again, if you haven't joined the college football bracket, right, join that up. It's Riddle Me That 2024 with a space in between Riddle and me and that. So Riddle Me That 2024. Type that into the fantasy app. You'll find the group. Join it in. We already got 6 people, 7 counting myself. Let's get it on. I love you all. Have a great weekend. Go Cats on Sunday. They need a win. Go Zags against UConn. Let's get it done. Riddle Me That. He's out.